Imagine waking up one morning and realizing one man secretly moved thousands of crores through the country's biggest banks. He hoarded wealth like a king, bought stocks by the millions, and then watched as the entire national market crashed to the ground. This is the true story of Harshad Mehta. In the early 1990s, India's economy was opening up. New money was pouring into the market, and people across the country were desperately looking for a quick path to wealth. To a public hungry for success, Harshad Mehta projected extreme affluence. He wore expensive, tailored suits and bought massive sea-facing properties in Mumbai. At a time when foreign cars were almost unheard of in India, he drove around in imported luxury vehicles. This overwhelming display of status earned him the title of the Big Bull. By projecting an aura of impossible success, he completely blinded the public to the dangerous, high-stakes game he was secretly playing. Harshad began his career without a fortune. He came from a middle-class family, working his way up as a salesman before eventually stepping onto the floor of the Bombay Stock Exchange. On that trading floor, he realized something crucial about human behavior. The stock market is heavily influenced by emotion over mathematics. This model breaks down the market's drivers into three specific levers: fear, greed, and hype. Harshad learned exactly how to weaponize all three. His understanding of these specific vulnerabilities became his edge. By tapping into people's desire to get rich quickly, he made an entire nation willing to follow his every move without a second thought. His public strategy was remarkably simple. He targeted specific companies and bought massive amounts of their shares to artificially inflate their prices. Once the prices started ticking upward, the media began to report on it. Desperate retail investors saw the headlines and rushed in, causing a herd mentality that drove the prices even higher. Look at this chart of ACC stock. It starts around a baseline of 200 rupees, but as the buying frenzy took hold, the value went nearly vertical, eventually touching close to 9,000 rupees a share. The public saw these numbers and worshipped him as a financial genius. But in all that excitement, almost no one stopped to ask the obvious question: where did he get the massive amounts of initial capital to buy those shares? The shocking answer was hiding right in the middle of the financial system. The money was being pulled directly from India's biggest banks. This diagram illustrates ready-forward deals, allowing two banks to pass capital securely. But Harshad found a loophole. By injecting fake bank receipts, he intercepted the funds, routing the stolen money directly into the share market to fuel his massive stock purchases. Outdated banking controls met a culture obsessed with wealth. The result was a massive, systemic robbery operating in plain sight, with millions of rupees moving illegally without a single red flag. It took one journalist to bring the entire operation to a halt. Sucheta Dalal started applying actual scrutiny, asking how a single broker could possess enough liquidity to move the market. Once investigators started looking, the evidence quickly surfaced. They uncovered the missing funds, the fake receipts, and the blatant manipulation of the banking system. That overwhelming greed instantly flipped to panic. As the news broke, terrified investors scrambled to sell off their holdings as fast as they could. The intense sell-off caused the total collapse of the exact same stock market that Harshad had spent years artificially propping up. Thousands of regular people lost their savings. The public's trust in the financial system shattered, and the so-called genius suddenly found himself facing criminal rates. Yet a debate remains. Many still argue whether Harshad Mehta was the sole mastermind of this crisis, or if he was merely a symptom of a financial system that was already broken. The banks lacked proper security, the rules governing them were outdated, and regulatory oversight was essentially non-existent. Harshad exploited these failures, but he certainly didn't create them. He died in 2001, but the arguments surrounding his actions and the environment that allowed them continue to this day. Every bull market creates heroes, and every inevitable crash forces us to look at the facts. Did Harshad Mehta fool an entire country, or did a country blinded by greed want to be fooled? If you want more stories about money, power, and market secrets, subscribe to Streets, because on this channel, we follow the money.